if your heart is into what the Lord blesses you with, if you put it first before Him, then that's where the problem is. But if you put God first in everything, and He brings prosperity to you, then that I don't think anything is wrong with that.
Well, yeah, so we have to think back in the days of the wilderness, it was only depending on one thing that they would obey the voice of the Lord and keep His statutes and His judgments and keep His commandments. So, like for us, this day, that would be the natural result in everything that your hand shall do shall prosper. But I think that within this day, this mission of being anti-Tibet and the 8 Day of Atonement, because our sights are set not on the things of this world, but on where the New Jerusalem is, and that being heaven, we have to remember that that prospering. And just keep in mind also that the governmental system was different. They were under a theocracy. It's not like this nation where we're living in a republic where we have a presidency, we have Republicanism and Protestantism, heavily separated as of now. But in a theocracy, a king rules, or God rules more specifically. And that God obviously being Jehovah, but we have to remember that as Abraham did, he sought for a city whose builder and maker was God. So also, will my treasures be right there? I'm not saying that, but like we think about Christ, his hands always prospered, but he didn't have the wealth, he didn't have the palace, he didn't have temporal belongings that would vanish. Only, that what was needed, like garments and food, and what would keep the function in daily life. So also with us, in seeking for that same city that Abraham sought for.
Yeah. So if we put God first, then, or even though we're prospering, we will still realize that all that I have is from God. And we will put it first in everything, because He said here, He shall not, He shall take the sicknesses from us, and even though we feel everything we do will prosper, because in obedience we should be a peculiar people, a holy people. So to the world, we would make a difference. See, so whether I go to my feet, I remember in Florida, the story was told of this man who was so obedient to God, and they had a storm, and all the field around was damaged, and his field was so nice and green. So everybody now start asking what it is. And he said, because I asked the Lord to take charge of my life. So everything I have belongs to me. So this garden belongs to him. So the enemy could not get in there to damage it. So if we have that same attitude, then the Lord will surely bless us. Amen. This week I was reading in, I think it was Christ Subject Lesson, where he said, right now, his peculiar people are not operating as they should be, because now instead of we converting the world is converting us. And I've been to some churches nowadays, and we do not know it's different from the Baptist church or other churches because of how the people are carrying on. There's no difference in dress. And how often we have to be engaged in a conversation for people to know that we're Seventh-day Adventists. So therefore our light isn't showing. Moses had a relationship with God, and because of that, he shone. Then his face shone when he was around others, and so there was a difference. And the Lord even warned Israel that if they were reading and teaching commandments, there would be a difference. But nowadays we look at the church and there's so much sickness, so much disease, just like in the world. They used to pray and people would get healed. Nowadays we pray and it's not effective. So that maybe something is wrong. Why all this is happening? And then, okay. All right, so,
That's right.
all right, we move on to
Yeah, it's
Matthew
something
6.
else.
It says that I may know you. And it says in Exodus 12:33, 12 and 17, what did Moses
this.
ask the Lord
Get her
to
this.
teach him? Why did he demand God's presence to guide him?
Turn that sound off.
You repeat that question?
You could hear you.
Okay, Exodus 32:12 through 17. This is, it says, it said Moses, by looking at the experience of Moses so far, we can observe how Moses was drawn into a deeper, intimate relationship with the Lord and how he grew spiritually. So at first, Moses realized that he did not know the Lord, so he was asking the Lord, to have a close, to know about, not to know about him, but to know him. Any comment? It says here, Moses' growth in the Lord was steady. He drew closer and closer to the Lord and sought to model himself after God's image. One day when he was conversing with God in the tent of meeting, Moses suddenly realized that he did not know him, and he uttered a specific prayer. He said, "Show now your way, that I may know you." Moses was aware of his deep need to understand God on a new level. He discovered that the more he knew the Lord, the more he did not know him. He recognized his need and wholeheartedly desired to know him better. God willingly granted Moses' wishes. So here, Moses, he spent so much time. It's just like sometimes you have a friend and you want to know more about that friend, and so you spend more time with the friend. That's what Moses wanted. He wanted to spend more time with the Lord. And he would think that Moses knows so much, even though he did. But look, it's many years that Moses had been, listening to the Lord and being obedient. And yet, he realized that he did not know the Lord as he should. And I think that's how it is, even in relationships, right? As we go together in a relationship, we always need to know more about that individual. It says that, okay, Moses, he spent time, the first 40 years, being obedient to the Lord, and that wasn't enough for him. The Lord spoke to him in Egypt, but yet still wanted to know more of the Lord. He brought him into the mountain, and he spent another 40 days with him,
So of course it went off.
and still,
What do you,
but it says that, and I think
for
it
that
was
to
a
not hear
moment,
us? What do you say?
you know, that
Because
such
they're
an
getting
experience.
touched.
I'm trying to get my sound right.
Because it said that
Let me see if
when
it's gonna come
Moses
back up.
first climbed the mountain and went up to God, then he went to the top of the mountain. It says, and afterwards, approached the cloud, because he couldn't see the Lord face to face. So the Lord had to hide himself in